Hello and thank you for joining us. My name is Ben Sheen, Managing Editor here at Stratfor, and with me today is Latin America analyst Reggie Thompson to talk about Venezuela. Now Reggie, clearly we keep a very close eye on Venezuela, and coming up this Sunday on December the 6th, we have some elections. Now, to my mind, they are midterm legislative elections. Are they significant?
Yes, these elections are quite significant for Venezuela because they offer the political opposition coalition a chance to reclaim control of the National Assembly. Now, the main factor driving voter opposition to the government at this point is the economy of Venezuela. Over the past year, due to low oil prices and just rampant inflation in the country that the government simply cannot halt, we've been seeing voters steadily either defecting from the ruling United Socialist Party or simply just being politically undecided. So at this point, opinion polls in Venezuela are showing a hefty lead for the opposition. Now, whether this translates into votes or not on December 6th for the opposition coalition really depends on what the voter turnout is like from district to district. But if the opposition earns a 3/5 majority, it gains significant congressional powers. It can remove the vice president, for example, or remove ministers, which can increase political conflict with the ruling United Socialist Party. In a worst-case scenario, really, for Nicolás Maduro, a 2/3 majority, which is at this point really a stretch, but it could conceivably happen if enough voters decide to vote for the opposition. A 2/3 majority would grant the opposition the power to call for a constitutional assembly. So these elections really, in the worst case scenario, are an existential threat for the Maduro government. And as a result, we've seen the government try different methods to dissuade people from coming out to vote, particularly in states like Zulia and Táchira, where the state of emergency has really limited the opposition's ability to campaign. But the Maduro government is really taking the threat very seriously at this point.
So how long has the state of emergency been running for now? Because that's been ongoing for months, hasn't it?
Yes, since August. The state of emergency has been in the states of Apure, in Amazonas, and in Táchira and Zulia. And it's been stretched for another 60 days as of last month.
And as well as using state of emergency, police and security forces, has Maduro deployed, say, the colectivos to exert pressure on the communities as well?
Well, there is no direct evidence right now that the colectivos are being deployed on the orders of the presidency. There have been some incidents of pro-government groups intimidating opposition rallies, but really it would not be surprising if the government is relying on them as some sort of tool to contain potential unrest during the elections. Remember that depending on whether or not people agree with the results, there could be street protests in Venezuela, and those usually have the potential for violence in such a polarized electoral climate. But right now, really, the government seems to be focused on letting the vote occur and really deciding how to handle the changed electoral landscape afterwards.
So Maduro is clearly taking this seriously. What does it mean for the future of Venezuela if the opposition actually managed to get a significant amount of the vote?
Well, if the opposition gains a majority, the best case scenario for Maduro is for a simple majority, something like just slightly over half of the Congress. That way he can counter with either presidential vetoes or through Supreme Court decisions. So he can use those tools to kind of manage and cajole opposition members, offering some of them concessions that they may want to further divide the opposition, because you have to remember that the opposition coalition in Venezuela is a series of fragmented parties. Really, their unity is only for the 2015 election. In 2016, the splits between them may worsen. But a more complicated scenario for Maduro would be, say, a 3/5 majority for the opposition. That way, they could gain some congressional powers, and it could increase conflict between the presidency and the Congress. It really does not bode well for Venezuela, because 2016 will be a year in which the public finances will be even further pressured by the low oil prices. Inflation will continue to accelerate. At this point, it's at about 10% month on month. And we'll just be seeing more economic pain, potentially more social conflict, because people are going to be protesting because of the ongoing food shortages and ongoing price increases. And so really it's going to be a very complicated year for the Maduro government that will only be exacerbated by this political conflict.
So it certainly sounds like 2015 was a tough year for Venezuela, but 2016 in many ways could be worse.
Definitely.
Reggie, thanks so much for talking with me on this today. For more high-level analysis on Venezuela, please continue to read stratfor.com.